Hey ghouls and gals, welcome back to my channel. My name is Taylor and today's video is going to be 8 or so book releases that I'm really looking forward to that are all coming out January of 2022. I am filming this video in December, so just saying 2022 doesn't really sound like a real year yet, but it's coming up. So let's talk about some book releases. This is obviously not an all-encompassing list. These are just some of the titles that I'm most interested in picking up and prioritizing. If there's a book that you're really excited about that's coming out in January that I haven't mentioned here, definitely leave it down below so I can check it out. And without further ado, let's just get into these releases. I will be leaving a list in the description bar down below, as well as I will have like the release date and also the title on the screen with me while I'm talking about these releases. But let's just go ahead and get into it. The first book on my list is How High We Go in the Dark by Sequoia Nagamatsu, and this comes out the 18th of January by William Morrow, and it's looking like it's just under 300 pages, but this says it's for fans of Cloud Atlas and Station 11. It's a spellbinding debut that follows a cast of intricately linked characters over hundreds of years as humanity struggles to rebuild itself in the aftermath of a climate plague, a daring and deeply heartfelt work of mind-bending imagination from a singular new voice. Now, I absolutely loved both Cloud Atlas and Station 11. This kind of seems from the synopsis that it's the storytelling style of Cloud Atlas, which I loved, and then also the kind of post-apocalyptic sort of setting and plot as Station 11. And what I really liked about Station 11 as like an apocalypse book was that it dealt with very different things that I feel like aren't really mentioned in apocalypse books too often. It was very quiet, very internal, as opposed to dealing with external threats. So I'm hoping this maybe kind of follows those kind of tropes, and we do follow like several different points of view in several different time frames. From funerary skyscrapers to hotels for the dead to interstellar starships. Sequoia Nagamatsu takes readers on a wildly original and compassionate journey, spanning continents, centuries, and even celestial bodies to tell a story about the resiliency of the human spirit, our infinite capacity to dream, and the connective threads that tie us all together in the universe. So very much looking forward to that one. It's always like a very good sign when there are two comp titles that you not only really liked, but also when you actually like read the synopsis and what it's about, it actually does sound similar to those, because sometimes I will read comp titles for a book and then I'll read the synopsis and I'm really not sure where the comparisons are coming from. I definitely see it in this one, and this just looks like a very compelling sci-fi, and I'm really looking forward to picking it up. This next book also is coming out January 18th. It is The Wakening by JG Faherty, and this one is a horror, and this is about a team of paranormal investigators, a priest and a defrocked priest with a dark secret join forces to combat a vengeful ancient demon and the evil spreading throughout a small New York town. So there is a demon that has been in someone before, it's been exorcised, now it's come back, and these very, very different people have to all kind of converge together and exorcise this demon from, it looks like, not just a person, but a town. So very interesting. I'm very looking forward to seeing this. It really does give me like kind of updated The Exorcist vibes. It sounds very similar to that, with just like a little bit more colorful cast of characters. I really, really love paranormal horror, and I really love a good, even though like I am not religious at all, I really love a good religious kind of exorcism, demons, good versus evil sort of thing going on. Like I really love the Conjuring universe too, so very intrigued to see this one. I think it's by, it said Flame Tree Press. I think that is an independent publisher, if not an independent publisher, like a very small printing press. So I haven't heard too much about it, but that little tagline really got me, and I can just never get enough of this like paranormal sort of horror novel, so looking forward to that one. Next up, also coming out the 18th, we have Anatomy, a Love Story by Dana Schwartz, and this is a gothic tale full of mystery and romance about a willful female surgeon, a resurrection man who sells bodies for a living, and the buried secrets that they must uncover together. Right off the bat, I know it doesn't sound too similar, kind of has some similarities almost at first glance to The Death of Jane Lawrence, which was one of my favorite books of 2021, and also just like I'm very intrigued by this gothic sort of vibe that it has going on. It's set in 1817 in Edinburgh, and it just, these two, I can't tell if this is going to be like a little bit paranormal or not, but it definitely has to deal with like dead bodies and secrets, and just I'm very intrigued in gothic literature, the time period. It sounds like some titles that I've enjoyed. I have heard this one comped to The Alienist and also like Frankenstein. I have never read, or I think The Alienist is also a TV show now. I don't know anything about that, but I do really like Frankenstein. So this definitely feels like it's giving off a very traditional gothic sort of lens, and I just absolutely eat those tales up. So this is following Hazel Sinnett is a lady who wants to be a surgeon more than she wants to marry. Jack Kerr is a resurrection man who's just trying to survive in a city where it's all too easy to die. When the two of them have a chance encounter outside the Edinburgh Anatomist Society, Hazel thinks nothing of it at first, but after she gets kicked out of renowned surgeon Dr. Beecham's lectures for being the wrong gender, she realizes her new acquaintance may be more helpful than she first thought. Because Hazel's made a deal with Dr. Beecham. If she can pass the medical exam on her own, the university will allow her to enroll. Without official lessons though, Hazel will need more than just her books. She'll need bodies to study and corpses to dissect. Luckily, she's made the acquaintance of someone who digs them up for a living. But Jack has his own problems. Strange men have been seen skulking around cemeteries. His friends are disappearing off the streets. Hazel and Jack work together to uncover the secrets buried, not just in unmarked graves, but in the very heart of Edinburgh society. So definitely sounds very, very interesting. I love a good gothic piece. I love a good historical fiction piece. This one looks really good. Next up, also coming out the 18th, we have Such a Pretty Smile by Kristi DeMeester. And this is about powerful women, angry men, and all the ways in which girls fight against the forces that try to silence them. So this looks like it has 2 points of views, one in 2019, one in 2004. This is, I believe, like a horror sort of mystery. There's something out there that's killing. Known only as the Cur, he leaves no traces save for the torn bodies of girls on the verge of becoming women who are known as troublemakers, those who refuse to conform to know their place, girls who don't know when to shut up. So I'm not really sure how these two timelines are going to intersect, if they do at all, but we have two timelines. Both of them are trying to figure out this mystery, who's doing these terrible things. It's a powerful allegory for what it can mean to be a woman, and an untamed rallying cry for anyone ever told to sit down, shut up, and smile pretty. So definitely sounds intriguing. Also sounds like it's probably going to be pretty heavy hitting, like a lot of horror or thriller mystery books kind of dealing with similar topics. It sounds like there's going to be a lot of murder of young women and girls, so probably going to be a rougher read, but I have heard really good things about these authors' other works. I haven't picked up anything by this author yet. I know she's frequently in, like, Ellen Datlow has like a lot of horror anthologies. I know she's frequently in that, and I think she's written other like short stories, like horror short stories and other fiction, so I am very much looking forward to checking this out. It's an author that I keep hearing so much about, and I think 2022 is the year that I'm finally going to check something out by this author. Next up, also coming out the 25th of January, we have Road of Bones by Christopher Golden. So this is a stunning supernatural thriller set in Siberia, where a film crew is covering an elusive ghost story about the Kolyama Highway, a road built on top of the bones of prisoners of Stalin's gulag. It feels very, very almost like found footage-y. and that's really intriguing. I've heard this described as a horror thriller, so I feel like this is going to be a very spooky, very fast-paced read, so I'm interested to check it out. But yeah, we'll see. It's just this documentary crew who is making a documentary on one thing, and they discover some very creepy things happening that were not part of their plan, so very intrigued. Next up, also coming out the 25th, we have At the End of Everything by Marieke Mijkamp, I believe. And this is a timely page turner that will keep you on the edge of your seat. The Hope Juvenile Treatment Center is ironically named. No one has hope for the delinquent teenagers who have been exiled there. The world barely acknowledges that they exist. Then the guards start acting strange, and one day they don't show up. But when the teens band together to make a break from the facility, they encounter soldiers outside the gates. There's a rapidly spreading infectious disease outside, and no one can leave their houses or travel without a permit, which means that they're stuck at Hope. And this time, no one is watching out for them at all. As supplies quickly dwindle and a deadly plague tears through their ranks, the group has to decide whom among them they can trust and figure out how they can survive in a world that has never wanted them in the first place. So I believe this is YA. I'm picking up this one because, number one, I think it's going to be very interesting to see what lockdown and the pandemic had on horror. I think there's going to be a lot of themes that we're going to be seeing in the next couple of years in horror, kind of exploring the horror of certain tropes that we kind of experienced in the real world. And I also think it's very fascinating taking those tropes and then also kind of combining them with the mental health sort of side of things, which is also very effective horror, and kind of blending those two. So that has me very intrigued, and this definitely sounds like it's going to be a very interesting ride. It says it's an emotional and timely page turner that will keep you on the edge of your seat. So I think this is going to be very horrific, maybe hard-hitting. I mean, it's definitely dealing with a lot of hard-hitting topics and a lot of horrific topics, so definitely interested to check this out. This author also wrote This Is Where It Ends. I've heard good things about that one. I just never picked it up, so I would be very interested to picking up something by this author this year. And then last but not least, also coming out the 25th, we have Devil House by John Darnielle, and this is about a man named Gage. He's descended from kings, at least that's what his mother has always told him. Now he's a true crime writer, and he's had one success to his name, but a lot of other things didn't go as planned, so he can pay his bills, but not much more. Now he's being offered the chance for a big break, to move into the Devil House, which is a house where a notorious pair of murders occurred, apparently the work of disaffected 1980s teens. He begins his research with diligence and enthusiasm, but soon the story leads him into a puzzle he never expected, back into his own work and what it means, back to the very core of what he does and who he is. So this, again, sounds like a haunted house, maybe, sort of horror thriller, a mystery where we're maybe trying to figure out who done it. Kind of very briefly gives me Sinister vibes, if you've ever seen that movie, where it is like a writer, I believe it's a fiction writer in the movie, but this book is dealing with a true crime writer, and they go to location, which is a questionable decision, and seeing how that location kind of influences their writing and the plot kind of moves from there definitely sounds very intriguing. I'm very excited at this list. When I was compiling it, just how much seemed to be horror in tropes that I really love. I have not heard of this author before, but the premise sounds really intriguing, and I am very excited for this one, like all of these in this video, to pick that book up and check it out. So there you have it. Those are some books that I'm really looking forward to getting to in 2022. Usually I do try and have more of a variety of genres. This list was very horror heavy. I acknowledge that. I do try and do one of these every single month, with the caveat that if there aren't really any books that I'm really looking forward to, I probably won't film one for that month. I think I did one for most months of 2021, so I'm looking forward to doing them for 2022 as well. So if you have any books that are coming out in January that you're very excited for, let me know in the comments down below. But that's it it for me today. If you liked this video, please be sure to give it a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe for more content from me. Stay safe, stay spooky, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye!